A very good morning. You're watching Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tina Jha. Let's start with the headlines first. 4 days after his re-election, FIFA president resigns in a surprise move. Next elections for football's body top post won't happen for 4 months. Hunt on for more than 400 missing following the boat tragedy in China. Bad weather slowing down rescue process. Popular instant noodle brand Maggi lands in a big soup. Lab test in Delhi finds high level of lead content. Kerala bans product from government outlets. And it's Jaipur's date with the metro. 9.7 kilometer stretch of the Jaipur metro to roll out today. Well, he was re-elected to the post of FIFA president just last week, and Sepp Blatter has resigned from the post. He won 5 times. The resignation has been welcomed by fans and officials alike. It comes at a time when the world soccer is going through its darkest phase ever.
Just 4 days after he was elected FIFA president for the 5th term, Sepp Blatter announced his resignation. The unexpected move came amid one of the most controversial episodes in FIFA's history, after its 7 high-ranking officials were arrested ahead of the football governing body's meeting last week. Announcing his decision in Zurich, Blatter said, and I quote, "I cherish FIFA more than anything, and I want to do only what is best for FIFA and for football. FIFA needs a profound overhaul. I have decided to lay down my mandate at an extraordinary elective Congress. I will continue to exercise my functions as FIFA president until that election." During his speech, Blatter didn't mention the dates for fresh elections for the post, but pointed out that it will take place before the next World Congress in May 2016. According to FIFA rules, it cannot be held for at least 4 months from now.
The decision on timing of the extraordinary Congress and election of a new president will ultimately be up to the Executive Committee. The expectation is that this could take place any time from December of this year to March of next year.
Fans and officials of various football federations welcome Blatter's decision. They even hope Prince Ali bin Al Hussein will run for election for the 2nd time.
Very good day for football. We needed change at FIFA, and this is the change we wanted. So we're a bit smug and delighted.
That's wonderful news, I think. It's good news for football, especially Europe and all the other places. I think he has to quit. I don't know who will be the next president, but I think that's a good decision.
And staying with some more sports news in Sports Beat. Second seed Roger Federer was knocked out of the French Open at the quarter-final stage, falling in 3 sets to fellow Swiss Stan Wawrinka. The 8th seed defeated Federer 6-4, 6-3, 7-6. The 17-time Grand Slam champion proved incapable of breaking his opponent's serve at all over the course of a match that lasted 2 hours and 9 minutes. New Zealand defeated England by 199 runs in the 2nd test at Headingley. New Zealand off-spinners Kane Williamson and Mark Craig shared 6 wickets each. The victory ensured the 2-match series end all square at 1-1. This was New Zealand's 9th win, 101 tests against England. This was also New Zealand's first test win against England since a 189-run victory at Hamilton in 2008. The Brazilian national soccer team hit the practice pitch at its Granja Comedy Training Center as they gear up for the Copa America 2015 in Chile. Ahead of the Copa, Brazil will play several friendlies, including one against Mexico on the 7th of June and another against Honduras on the 10th of June. Moving over to some international news now. Search and rescue operation continues in yesterday's boat tragedy in China, with more than 400 still missing. This is being termed as one of the worst disasters in China's shipping history. Bad weather and difficulty in entering the upturned hull of the vessel has only slowed the rescue process, but the administration promises all-out efforts.
Rescuers at the banks of Yangtze River in China are fighting against time to find any survivors among the hundreds missing in Tuesday's boat capsize. They worked well into the night around the upturned hull of the ship to rescue people. They brought a few to safety with remarkable difficulty, but remained focused on those still trapped. The shipping company too is assisting in the rescue work. 7 people have lost their lives so far. There were 456 people on board.
解放军交通运输系统调集的潜水员已经到位，并投入工作，为提高效率、科学的史册安排挑灯夜战。
Angry relatives lashed out at authorities for lack of information. The administration in defense says they're doing all they can to help those in distress. Chinese Premier Li Keqiang was at the forefront ordering for extensive rescue efforts. More than 4,600 rescuers, including hundreds of divers, are battling bad weather to search for the missing. Over 130 medical experts have also been deployed to provide assistance to the injured. The State Council will be setting up an investigation team to find the cause of the accident.
事件发生后，湖北省卫生计生部门的主要负责同志连夜赶到事故现场，组织医疗救援，同时从武汉各大医院抽调130多名重症救治。
More than 400 of the tourists, mostly elderly, are still missing after the cruise boat was hit by a freak tornado, making it China's worst shipping disaster in 70 years. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And in news from the United States, in an interview to an Israeli channel, President Barack Obama warned that they would be reviewing its backing of Israel at the United Nations over the Palestine dispute, given the recent string of statements by the Israeli Prime Minister. Obama stated that Israel has lost all international credibility as a potential peacemaker owing to Benjamin Netanyahu's terms for diplomacy. Obama warned that Israel's behavior is making it difficult for Washington to maintain its historic diplomatic backing for the Jewish state. He advised a more committed approach to peace with the Palestinians. On the eve of his election to another term, Netanyahu said there would be no Palestinian state if he remained the premier. He argued that any withdrawals from the occupied territory by Israel would embolden Islamist fighters arrayed on its border. Netanyahu has since sought to row back from those remarks, but his peace overtures have been met with skepticism. Obama too sounded pessimistic that any major agreement would be reached anytime soon.
The danger here is that Israel as a whole loses credibility. Already, the international community does not believe that Israel is serious about a two-state solution. The statement the Prime Minister made compounded that belief that there's not a commitment there.
And now a look at some more news from across the globe in the World Wrap. U.S. Senate passes Freedom Act. The U.S. Senate on Tuesday passed the Domestic Surveillance Reform Bill, ending spy agencies' bulk collection of data and telephone records of the Americans. The Freedom Act was passed by a vote of 67-32, reversing the national security policy. The act cuts down on surveillance powers of the NSA under a more targeted system. Boko Haram claims opponents lying of successes. Boko Haram fighters have purportedly posted a video on social media websites saying countries battling the Islamist group have been lying about their recent military successes. The video shows pieces of a military jet with the militants insisting that major areas are still held by the Boko Haram. Newly elected President Muhammadu Buhari has pledged to wipe out the militants from Nigeria. Representatives of Ukraine, Russia, separatists and OSCE are currently in Minsk to hold a meeting on the Ukraine crisis, but the contact group meet has been delayed over what rebels claim procedural disagreements. OSCE says that progress is still being made on resolving the conflict despite the delays. Hundreds of activists took to the streets of Pakistan's capital to protest against India seeking UN sanctions against Hizbul Mujahideen leader Syed Salahuddin. India has approached the UNSC to obtain sanctions against the militant organization's supreme leader in order to declare him an international terrorist. However, India's efforts faces a roadblock from China, who is likely to veto the move. Well, time now for a very quick break, but after that, President Pranab Mukherjee departs for Belarus after wrapping up his visit to Sweden. Details on that when we return. Do stay with us.
November, Prime Minister Narendra Modi left for his three-nation tour to Europe, and one of the countries that he was visiting was France.
One of the world's most advanced fighter jets, the Dassault Rafale from France. India signed up to buy 36 of these planes. What is this super fighter all about? Watch our special report on IAF's Rafale fighters, only on Rajya Sabha TV.
Hello and a warm welcome to our special report, the program that brings you a ground zero view from whichever part of the country the Rajya Sabha TV cameras are travelling. It is the same village where the Telangana agitation actually began. We at Rajya Sabha TV bring you the first pictures of the landfall site. This is the main nerve centre where the legal battle for the Kaveri water dispute began. When you are moving around this Niyamgiri hill area, there are 41 streams like these which you have to cross.
No one understands India better than we do. Watch special report only on Rajya Sabha television.
3, 2, 1, 0.
As science beckons India into the future, Rajya Sabha television partakes the responsibility, bringing technology to the Indian people.
Let's take a look at various important science events in the country,
monitoring scientific advances as they unravel.
Intergovernmental panel on climate change has proposed a complete ban on fossil fuels.
Welcome to Eureka.
Interviewing the country's greatest minds. Project the power of science to benefit and transform India. Rajya Sabha television, democracy at work.
Welcome back. You're watching Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha TV. Now, India has strongly objected to Pakistan's decision to conduct polls in its occupied part of Kashmir. The government has termed the move as an attempt to camouflage forceful and illegal occupation of Gilgit and Baltistan.
India on Tuesday opposed a move by Pakistan to conduct elections in the disputed Gilgit-Baltistan region. The Pakistan government announced last month that elections to the Gilgit-Baltistan Assembly will be held on 8th of June. Pakistan's Minister for Kashmir Affairs, Chaudhry Mohammad Burjis Tahir, was recently appointed governor of the region that was earlier known as the Northern Areas. The government termed Pakistan's effort as a cover-up for its forced occupation in the region. It said the fact that a Pakistani minister is the governor of the region speaks for itself.
We are concerned at the continued efforts by Pakistan to deny the people of the region their political rights and the efforts being made to absorb these territories. The fact that a federal minister of Pakistan is also the governor of Gilgit-Baltistan speaks for itself.
The region has witnessed a spike in militant activities by groups like the Taliban in recent years. In June 2013, militants stormed a mountaineering base camp and killed 10 climbers, including 9 foreigners. The government claimed that in recent times, the people of the region have also become victims of sectarian conflict, terrorism and extreme economic hardship due to Pakistan's occupationary policies. With inputs from Akhilesh Suman, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And to discuss more on the subject, we have with us in our studio this morning former Ambassador Mr. Shivshankar Mukherjee. A very good morning, Ambassador, and welcome to Rajya Sabha TV. Through these elections, do you think Pakistan is trying to build grounds for constitutionally linking the Gilgit-Baltistan region to its own territory, something that it couldn't do in the 2009 order?
Well, that's precisely what they're trying to do, but I wouldn't get into, as far as India is concerned, I wouldn't get too much into the sort of local legalities of what they are trying to do and their Supreme Court orders and so on. The fact is that, as your report made it very clear, as particularly our spokesman made it extremely clear, Pakistan is an illegal occupation of that territory. That territory belongs to the sovereign state of India, and therefore having elections there or doing anything like that there as a nation state is the act of an illegal occupier, not the act of a sovereign state. which is why we have protested strongly about it.
But even though there's been an aggressive response from India, what really is the way forward? What can India do to stop the elections? Because elections are just 3 days on, it's on the 8th of June. Is there anything that can deter these elections?
Well, no. We can, of course, we have already protested with the history of that region and the history of the bone of contention that is Jammu and Kashmir vis-a-vis India and Pakistan, that's a far more difficult question, really. After all, we have given up the military option. There is no military option if you look at it dispassionately. And therefore, what we need to do is really continue our efforts to pressurize Pakistan directly as well as internationally, to continue to keep this subject alive, to highlight the illegality of Pakistan's occupation of that territory in every opportunity we get, every forum that is relevant to this. But that is not enough to force an enemy state like Pakistan that is reared on hostility towards India. It'll take time, but we will simply have to be, we have to persevere and we have to be patient, since, as I said, there is no military option.
But there are reports, there are analysts who believe that the current scenario, somewhere India is responsible for what's happening, because over the years, India has tended to claim down its own claim over the region, the region that's now known as Gilgit-Baltistan, and allow Pakistan to have a control, allow China to build up in the region over the years. And now, even though this aggressive stance, even then, India doesn't have much backing of the other international countries.
Well, I can answer all those 3 points. I mean, what India has or has not done, the China factor, and the international community. You see, it is a question of 20/20 hindsight. There will always be critics within our own country and outside who will say that we have not done enough. What is enough? I mean, in a situation like this, if you look at the history of this area of conflict since 1947, we have, as much as possible, gone the way of peace and a peaceful solution to the problems. War has been forced upon us 4 times, and it hasn't worked as far as Pakistan is concerned. But we have made it abundantly clear that we seek a peaceful solution to the problem. So whether we could have asserted this more vociferously, whether we could have created a situation where the international community was forced to look at this more seriously and lean on Pakistan even more, that's a moot question. But as a practitioner who's been for many years in the government, I don't think shouting louder would have really helped, beyond what we have already done. The China factor certainly complicates situations and makes it much more difficult for us. China, in one sense, is going to be, for good and bad, perhaps, our most important foreign policy challenge.
True.
It's a far more formidable country militarily and economically than Pakistan. It is spending $45 or $46 billion in that area to take its road infrastructure and communications infrastructure right up to the port of Gwadar. And the Chinese today, with its very aggressive foreign policy, its actions in the South China Sea, the East China Sea, its attitude towards the border dispute with India and so on, makes and let's not forget, if China invests so much in this area, it is not going to just back off. You are looking at a situation where China will virtually control the security situation in that part of the world, even more than Pakistan, perhaps.
When it comes to Pakistan, every time there are new starts, but always old endings when it comes to India-Pakistan relationship.
You're quite right. I mean, the recent history sort of shows that. But then, as I said, having given up any military option, and there is none, we simply have to continue to repel Pakistani terrorist attacks, to maintain our own security, and to continue the pressure bilaterally, multilaterally, and see where it gets us in the future.
Certainly. So on that positive note, many thanks, Ambassador Mukherjee, for joining us this morning and giving us those details.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, Ashton Carter, The US Defense Secretary will be meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi today in the national capital today. He will also call upon his counterpart Manohar Parkar, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj and Ajit Doval. Parkar and Carter will sign the 2015 US-India Defense Framework Agreement to deepen defense cooperation in several security-related areas. This is Carter's first visit to India as the Secretary of Defense. YSR Congress President and Leader of Opposition in the Andhra Pradesh Assembly, YS Jagan Mohan Reddy, begins his two-day campaign against the TDP government in Guntur today. The campaign aims to highlight Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu's failure to fulfill his election promises. Hearing in the 26/11 Mumbai terror attack case will resume in a Pakistani court today. 7 accused, including mastermind Zakir Rahman Lakhvi, are on trial in the case. In the last hearing, the anti-terrorism court had summoned all witnesses in the case to record their statements. The case had been adjourned as the judge had gone on a judicial course. And President Pranab Mukherjee has left Sweden for his two-day visit to Belarus. He will be landing in the capital Minsk. Wrapping up his Sweden visit, President Mukherjee announced that India will soon extend e-visa facility to Swedish nationals. Sweden also backed India's bid for entry into the elite group of countries that seek to prevent the proliferation of missile and unmanned aerial vehicle technology. India and Sweden signed several agreements to boost ties and decided to restart the bilateral strategic dialogue, besides finding ways for investment by the Nordic country in India's defense sector under the ambitious Make in India initiative.
शहरों में से एक माने जाने वाला इसका
Time for another very quick break at the moment, but coming up after that, Jaipur to get its own metro, Chief Minister to throw open 9.7 kilometre stretch to public.
Hottest topics.
If you can facilitate the opening up and the expansion of the international border trade, you can add to the economy.
370 धारा जो है वो जम्मू कश्मीर को मुल्क के साथ जोड़े रखती है.
Candid confessions.
The Congress has not been able to communicate.
We have to revive our links with the masses.
World-class healthcare is available to only a handful of people in this country.
Causing controversies.
A lot of leaders today think that they rule by divine right.
Now, media has become manageable.
Watch RSTV engaged personalities to the point. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m., Thursday, 1:30 and 5:30 p.m.
Welcome back. Now, Maggi is in a soup. Several states have found its samples to test for high levels of lead. Kerala has banned it from government outlets. And now its brand ambassadors are also likely to face action for allegedly endorsing a harmful product.
The controversy around popular instant noodles Maggi has snowballed. Lab tests of samples of the product in Delhi have found excessive lead content. Delhi's health minister will be meeting Nestle officials following this development.
और भी सैंपल लिए जाएंगे और सरकार इसके ऊपर जो भी कार्रवाई कल से इनिशिएट कर देगी. जो भी कानूनी कार्रवाई है पूरी कार्रवाई की जाएगी.
Kerala has gone a step further, banning Maggi from government-owned outlets.
We have given a direction to the government-owned outlets to stop the sale of Maggi noodles for the time being. We have not banned it in the entire state, only in the government outlets. We have taken these products to our labs. They will be having a detailed examination of all these things.
West Bengal Food Department has convened a high-level meeting to take a view on the ongoing controversy. 9 other states including Kerala, Karnataka, Haryana, Odisha, Uttarakhand, Gujarat, Punjab, Assam and Tamil Nadu have sent samples of the product for testing at government labs. The controversy has taken a serious turn, with a court in Bihar ordering filing of a case against brand ambassadors and officials of Nestle India. The centre has said that those endorsing Maggi will be liable if they are found promoting a harmful product.
फूड सिक्योरिटी एंड सेफ्टी जो अथॉरिटी है तो उसका जो रिपोर्ट है हेल्थ वो आना है, वो आने के बाद क्या रिपोर्ट आती है उसके आधार पर कार्रवाई होगी। यदि रिपोर्ट सही है तो ये बहुत ही सीरियस चीज है।
Meanwhile, Nestle India says the findings are surprising. The company has said, and I quote, "We regularly monitor all our raw material for lead, including testing by accredited laboratories, which have consistently shown levels in Maggi noodles to be within permissible limits." Amid the crackdown, consumers say they feel cheated.
We always knew that it's a little bit junk food, but we didn't know that it's poisonous or it's harmful to health. This particular episode is definitely a big breach of trust.
I don't blame the people who promote it. I don't blame the brand ambassadors for promoting it, because okay, that's part of their job. It's not their responsibility to check whether the product they are promoting is actually good for children or not.
I am slightly disappointed. I'm not very sure was Nestle really aware that this is the case and the samples would be contaminated. But even then, they should have been very, very careful about the way they are producing their products.
Meanwhile, the Goa government has found the lead content in Maggi to be within the permissible limit. The latest controversy has not only landed Maggi, but also its endorsers in a soup. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And let's now take a look at what else is making news across the country in Nationwide. The Meteorological Department has revised its rainfall forecast from 93 to 88%. This means the revision is from below normal to deficient, raising fears of a drought-like situation in some parts of the country. The government says it has contingency plans in 580 districts to deal with the poor monsoon. Agriculture Minister Radha Mohan Singh said there are sufficient buffer stock of wheat and rice to deal with any shortages. The National Scheduled Caste Panel has issued notices to Union HRD Secretary and IT Madras Director, asking them to appear before it on the 8th of June amid a political row over de-recognition of a students' body comprising mostly Dalits. The Commission had taken suo motu cognizance of the de-recognition of the student body last week for allegedly violating the Institute's Code of Conduct following a complaint that it was critical of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. As many as 19 police personnel have been suspended in connection with the killings in the Hazaribagh court premises in Jharkhand earlier on Tuesday. 19 policemen who were given the escort duty have been suspended. A gangster and his 2 aides were shot dead allegedly after members of a rival gang opened fire on them outside the district court. Well, it's Jaipur's date with the metro today. Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje will inaugurate the new Jaipur metro on the Mansarovar to Chandpol route. There are 9 stations on this route that connects a residential hub to the business hub, and 5 of the metro drivers are women. The first phase of the Jaipur metro project, which was initiated by the previous Congress government, is being constructed in 2 segments, 1A and 1B. Part 1A, which is 9.7 km long from Mansarovar to Chandpol, is being dedicated today. The work on the 2.3 km 1B segment from Chandpol to Badi Chopar is underway. E-rickshaws and vans will be available as feeder services at all the 9 stations of Jaipur Metro to provide transportation facilities to its passengers in the city. About 33,000 passengers are expected to use the metro daily. And that's all we have for you in this morning edition. Have a nice day.